So we all know people, don't we, who think they know it all. You know, the pub bore, the person who's always on the quiz team or on the quiz machine and gives you an answer. What planet is ninth in the solar system? It's Mars. Mars, right. Oh. And those sorts of people are fairly easy to spot. But when they're in court, they can give convincing answers. And they can sound like they know what they're talking about. The worst sort of liar is a person who sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and yet, on further examination, he's full of shit. Here's a guy who was at the post office inquiry, and he thought he was really, really smart. So he answered the questions that the barrister put to him. Let's have a little listen, shall we?
Yes, we do disclose the deleted cal. Is that fair?
Yes.
But by way of explanation for the late disclosure, he suggests that you tell Womble Bond Dickinson that it was found on a local drive.
Yes.
Did you consider that statement to be true?
No, because I think John had, in his email beneath this, he had said that he'd found it in the deleted table, and I think I probably had a discussion with him in which he said that it was a table within the database. So that, to me, would immediately sound like it wasn't a local drive, but was a table within the SSC website somewhere.
From where do you think Mr. Newsom obtained the information that John had been able to find a copy on a local drive?
I can only assume he's making an incorrect assumption.
Do you think it's possible that was simply made up by Mr. Newsom to avoid any further questions about deleted cals?
It's possible.
This is a guy called Mark Lenton, who was a document manager for the post office account at Fujitsu. And you notice how he's very sort of cagey about things. It was probably, I think, as far as I can remember, I think he probably, on recollection, and it's all sort of loosely based, but he is kind of caging his answers because he doesn't want to admit something that might land him in the soup of trouble. But the barrister is biting at his heels, really. Let's listen to the next bit.
He's instructing you to give a different explanation as to why the deleted cal had been discovered.
Well, no, I'm saying that's two separate things, though, isn't it? So the reason it's been discovered is not the same as the reason it was deleted.
Forgive me.
Yeah, he's providing the reason why it was deleted, not how or why it was found.
But that providing an explanation as to why it wasn't disclosed in the first place. Isn't that the underlying?
I guess so. I mean, the fact that it was deleted is the reason that it wasn't disclosed in the first place, not why it was deleted, though. I mean, why it was deleted in some ways could be another reason, couldn't it? But it's connected, but it's not the same thing.
No, I agree with that. But it's all part of, is it not, an attempt to explain away why Fujitsu's discovered a cal that wasn't previously disclosed?
I guess so, yeah.
And he's really started to struggle here. And the fact is, they knew all about these things. They knew what was going on, and nobody took responsibility. Nobody was willing to put their hand up and say, no, this is wrong. This system does not work. There are flaws in this system, and it's not being repaired, and people are suffering because of it. But he doesn't want to say any of that because it admits liability. So he's being very cagey about his answers, and you can tell by the long pauses that he's trying to work out a way that he can actually give an answer which doesn't incriminate him or any of his working colleagues, and he can't.
Now, in this email, you assert as fact that the two related cals had been deleted because it was shown the issue had been fixed by a software release, do you not?
Yes.
You didn't know whether that was in fact the reason why they'd been deleted, did you?
Well, I was given that explanation by John Simpkins and assumed, therefore, that it was true, since that was his view. And I'm not sure what other explanation. I mean, I think
the point. The point I'm trying to make is you had an assumption that he'd made, and you accepted that was an assumption, and you assert it here as fact.
Okay. Yes.
If you were being entirely accurate, you would have said, we don't know why they were deleted, but we assume it was because the problem had been fixed by a software release, would you not?
I could have stated it in that way. I'm not sure that it was clear to me how sure John Simpkins was of that, his view. So, I mean,
But if he wasn't sure of his view,
well,
how
I'm
could you be sure?
not sure that I had any particular reason to doubt it. So you're right, though. Maybe this is overstated in terms of sounding like it's 100% certainty.
Were you hoping to shut down any further inquiries into the existence of deleted curls?
I don't think so. No. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure that I would have had any interest in doing that.
Do you think you were being entirely transparent in the explanation that you gave?
I think possibly more information could have been given.
So essentially, somebody gave him a piece of information which was based on an assumption, and he produced that as fact. And that is a really, really big, major error, because if he said it was an assumption, then it would have raised more questions and people would have looked into it. But because he raised it as a fact, people just said, oh, well, that's that problem solved, we can move on. And that's why those files were deleted. Those files were deleted under the assumption that the problem would go away if it was presented in a certain way. And it clearly didn't.